begin our show with a developing story because Luka Doncic, he exited Thursday's blowout loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder early because of a strained left hamstring. The signs of a frustration, they were clearly there. You can see it. Luka, as he's walking back off of the court, he was hanging his head. He was pulling at the collar of his jersey, as you can see right here. This is the same hamstring, of course, that he missed 4 games with earlier this season. And Laker Nation, all day you've been waiting for Shams to pop on your screens. Here he is. So, Shams, what is the latest that we know here about Luka Doncic?
Malika, I'm told Luka Doncic traveled with the Lakers to Dallas, his old home, and that's where he's going to have an MRI here during the daytime. And the Lakers are awaiting the results from that MRI here later today. And I'm not going to report on the results before I have them, but we all know how hamstrings and these soft tissue injuries go, and depending on the severity, this can be measured potentially in weeks. And so the whole league is waiting on this, specifically in the Western Conference, where there are multiple things up in the air. One being the Lakers' positioning in the Western Conference standings. They're in the 3rd seed. They're just 1 game up on Denver for the 3rd seed. There's going to be a lot of jockeying potentially that goes on between 3 and 6. And Luka Doncic's own eligibility for the All-NBA team, for MVP awards, for all the postseason honors, that is all in jeopardy and up in the air as well.
All right, so all of this is up in the air right now for Luka Doncic, and of course they are in the standings jockeying for that 3rd seed. They want to hold that over the Denver Nuggets, and only 1 game separates them. Shams, thank you very much for that insight. We will stay tuned for the results of that MRI. But the Thunder, I mean, they beat the brakes off the Lakers last night. So we're going to go back to science class here. We're going to understand the biology of a beatdown. And I was excited for this game because, you know, we talked about this as maybe being a little bit of a measuring stick for LA. Well, they ended up having the 2nd largest loss as a 50-win team in league history. So I got a couple of NBA champs here. Perk, Danny, how the heck does something like this happen?
Man, a combination of things. Honestly, you know, LA had a really bad game. OKC had a really good game. Even if that wasn't the case, it just showed the distance and the gap between the two groups.
Absolutely. But
and
it feels
Lakers
like
are not ready to play with the big boys just yet.
Yeah.
But it really started on the front offense on the floor. Perk, take us through the turnovers.
It started over with the turnovers, and it wasn't just beating the brakes off of them. They kicked their ass, Malika. Let's call it what it is. And it's what OKC does best. They force turnovers, active hands, communication, and they get out and run in transition. And look, this was key, right? The Lakers do a great job of loading up the paint. Luka Doncic was knocking down shots all night long, especially in that first half. Look at this pressure right here.
Yep.
Look, trying to do that, that's what he do. He was 1st team all defense last year for a reason. He is a menace. He is a linebacker playing football. Look at this, the communication, triple switch. Look, flying back, covering the screen, activity, active hands, everybody getting out, running, spacing. And this is the great thing about Chet Holmgren. He is so dynamic at 7 foot that he could get out and make plays.
We know that Oklahoma City, they like to turn teams over. But when the Lakers have more turnovers and field goals in the first 5 minutes of the first quarter, you know that they're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, you know it's going to be a long night if you turn the ball over. Also, a long night if Lou Dort's hitting threes. I think he had like 4 or 5 in the first half. But it started with SGA and them kind of penetrating the zone. Lakers try to, you know, junk it up, change coverages. But J-Dub right here gets an easy screen right here. Finds Lou Dort. They kind of cover him as like a shift guy somewhat. But not today. He's coming out on fuego. He was hitting everything in the first quarter. Hits the first 3. Same situation, attacking the paint. They see the driving lanes. SGA, he's great at this, getting downhill, making 2 come to the ball. Great at moving space, moving bodies. Isaiah Joe sees this. Jalen Williams catches the ball in the corner. Extra pass to the top, one of the best 3-point shooters in the game. Knockdown 3. They just had this going on all night long from the perimeter and on the defensive end of the floor.
And in the paint. I mean, look, the first quarter stats, we see that right here, but the paint is what I love. And OKC dominated them, made love to them in the paint, especially on the offensive glass. And here it is right here. Isaiah Hartenstein, I mean, all these guys, they're just active. They're on the glass. You look, 1, 2, 3, 4. Check them out. Check them out again.
That's A.J. Mitchell right there.
I know, but he got an
open.
offensive rebound, dribbled it out, and got a wide open 3. Here we are again. Check this out. Isaiah Hartenstein, Mitchell, they doing their job, keeping the ball alive.
Yeah.
All the second effort plays, and all of a sudden you get rewarded, and now you get a 2-hand flush. Guess what, Malika? Check this out. DeAndre Ayton and Jackson Hayes had the same amount of offensive rebounds in the first half that I had last night.
Yeah,
0.
and so they needed to be a little bit more active there. But ultimately, it's their leader. It's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And yes, there was no Marcus Smart on the floor here for the Lakers.
It wouldn't have made a damn difference because they was just doing everything right on the offense of the floor. And it started with, of course, MVP, SGA, doing what he does best, moving, grooving, slicing, dicing, getting downhill, finishing at the rim, doing a little bit of everything. He's facilitating the start. They playing zone. All right, I see some lanes now. Guys hitting threes. I'm going to get to the basket. Finish with the left, finish with the right, however you want it. He's getting that transition here. Lakers have been playing better defense in the past. Tonight, this last night was really bad.
See the hammer,
but you can see SGA, they were getting everything they wanted. From three, from the paint, inside. He had a career high, tied his career high, 12 blow-bys and getting to the basket. Again, give Lakers credit. The past month, they've been better, but last night, it was pretty
They got
bad.
exposed.
Yeah, and this wasn't necessarily a game where you thought all of a sudden the Lakers were going to be the team that could take on the Oklahoma City Thunder in a 7-game series, but we did learn a lot because LeBron, he's played over 1,900 career games. That's combined the regular season and the playoffs, so that makes all of this pretty jarring. It was the biggest halftime deficit of James's career. It's also the second worst individual plus-minus of his career, and no, not all of this is on LeBron James, but this is the second largest loss of his career. So afterwards, when he was asked about this game, he was pretty straightforward in the locker room.
We understand and know what they're capable of, and they beat the shit out of us tonight, obviously, from the start.
They beat the shit out of us, but they're the defending champs. We've got to, be better. I don't know. Losing always sucks. It don't matter if you lose by 1 or 50. A loss is a loss.
So the Lakers, they fell to 1-10 in the season against teams that are above them in the standings, right? So that's the Thunder, the Spurs, the Pistons, and the Celtics. They're 0-3 against OKC, as you can see right there, and that includes 2 of their 3 largest losses of the season. The Lakers, they will meet the Thunder for a 4th and final time this regular season. That's happening on Tuesday right here in Los Angeles. But, Perk, the Lakers, they made your list of championship contenders.
Why you bringing up old?
They did yesterday. It wasn't that old, right? And again, this just showed how big the gap is between 1 and 2 in the West and everybody else.
No, I agree. And I said yesterday on NBA Today that I felt like Luka and the Lakers needed to have a statement win, a feel-good win for their confidence. That group is not confident anymore.
No.
And although they've been playing great over the last month, I know Luka, we got to wait on the results for his hamstring, but even before the hamstring, they came and they snatched the soul out of the Lakers. You want to go into the postseason with some type of confidence. The fact that you just highlighted that record, they're 1-10 against contenders. I believe they're 1-6 against OKC and the Spurs. If you're considered a title contender, you got to have some type of level of confidence that, man, I could at least compete with those guys or those teams. They don't have that, DG.
Yeah, but to your list, I will say I give them credit because it's not just the gap between those, it's the rest of the league. Lakers have been playing some really good basketball. Some of the best basketball, better than the Knicks. Normally I would have the Knicks up there, but the Lakers were playing really good basketball until last night. And they can get away with a lot of those things when it comes to Minnesota, when it comes to Houston, when it comes to even Denver. Those teams, they can play and look like a varsity team. But when it comes to these boys, they look like a JV team. So it's just a big discrepancy, a big gap between OKC and Spurs and the rest of the league, not just the Lakers. So, got to give them a lot of credit. These two teams have been great. Lakers, to me, I said they look like a really good team that could get out of the first round. Last night proved to me, I don't know if they can get any further than the second round. If they match up with one of those two teams, it looks like they'll be going home early.
So you can see here they have a 1-game lead over the Denver Nuggets. And yes, they own the tiebreaker over both the Nuggets and the Rockets here. But it just seems so important that the Lakers were able to stay out of that 4-5 line to avoid a potential second-round date with Oklahoma City.
Well, they don't want to have a meet and greet with the Spurs either. So, they could avoid a date. They don't want to have a meet and greet with the Spurs. Here's the thing. Even with Marcus Smart in the lineup, Malik, a spade is a spade and a heart is a heart. You know what I'm saying? It's opinion over facts. And I'm going to give you some facts. When you look big picture for the Lakers, you know what I saw from that game last night? That the Lakers really got to think about who they want to have who are they two franchise guys moving forward. I want Austin Reeves to get all the money in the world. But they have to be honest with themselves. Is Luka and Austin Reeves two guys that you build around that's going to take you to the promised land? In my opinion, it's no. because we're in the game today was full of two-way players, and the bar has been set. A la Tatum and Brown.
Yeah.
A la Wemby and Stephon
SGA
Castle.
and J-Dub, like they can play both sides of the ball. I thought Luka and Austin were a good foundation, to have. And I still think they are. But last night, Austin would have been the X factor for him, but he started out the game
But I'm talking about max dollars, though.
Yeah.
When you using up majority of your salary that's going to go to those two guys, can they take you to the promised land?
And here's what I want to be careful of, right? For the last 6 weeks, we've been talking about how impressive the Lakers have been. And that is still a fact. That is still, I think all of us have been impressed by what we saw up there. But on the other side of this, there's just a clear ceiling for the Los Angeles Lakers. There's a clear ceiling for basically everybody else in the rest that's not the 1 seed and the 2 seed right now. However, the single biggest takeaway from this game is the health of Luka Doncic. That is what the rest of the Lakers season, how far they're going to go in the postseason, what their seeding is going to be. That's what everything hinges on. So for more on that, I want to bring in our Tim Bontemps here, our senior writer. Tim, what more can you tell us about Luka's potential path for eligibility for postseason awards? Because we've been talking about the Lakers and their standing, but now that 65-game rule is in jeopardy as well.
Yeah, it really is, Malika. So with that game last night, Luka's played 64 games, obviously 1 game short of that 65-game limit. And the first thing you probably think of is that suspension he had on Monday for having 16 technical fouls and missing that game against the Wizards. Obviously, he played in that game. He would be at the 65-game threshold and would be eligible for awards. However, despite the fact he's fallen short of that mark, and despite the fact that it seems unlikely he's going to play between now and the end of the regular season, there is a potential path for Luka to be on ballots after the season, and that's by filing what's called an extraordinary circumstances grievance with the league. And the argument for that would be that back in December, Luka missed 2 games, I believe December 4th and 5th, for the birth of his child. Now, obviously, that is the definition of an extraordinary circumstance. And if it's ruled by an arbitrator shortly after the regular season's over that Luka does, in fact, deserve to get credit for missing those games and does, in fact, not need to be held to the 65-game standard, then he would be eligible to be on end-of-season ballots for awards, even if he doesn't play in another game between now and the end of the regular season. So we've seen Cade Cunningham fall short of the 65-game rule. We saw Anthony Edwards miss last night's game against Detroit. He will not be eligible for end-of-season awards. Giannis Antetokounmpo won't be. LeBron James won't be. Stephen Curry won't be. A lot of guys have been off the ballot. As of right now, Luka Doncic, if he doesn't play again, will not be on the ballot, but that is at least one potential pathway to him being eligible, depending on what that arbitrator says and if Luka opts to file that grievance.
Right, because there is everyone knows about the 65-game rule. There is maybe the lesser-known 63-game rule that is intended for players who have played 85% of games but suffer an injury that could be season-ending. Might this fall under that category? Maybe, but will that open a whole conversation about all of those other players, particularly Cade Cunningham that you just mentioned? Certainly, if that grievance is something that is filed and approved. Tim Bontemps, thank you very much for that insight here. We hope to see Luka back healthy sooner rather than later, though. Coming up, 9 days left in the regular season. The clock is ticking. MVP race is turning from a debate
today.
All right, friends, let's go coast to coast on the action around the NBA, starting with the Cavaliers taking down the Dubs in San Francisco last night, and they clinched a playoff spot out east. How about Donovan Mitchell and James Harden? They've made the postseason every year of their careers, but Danny, is this the year that finally they're going to find some playoff success?
No, I don't have that much faith in them. They're looking good right now. I need to see a little bit more. Obviously, it's kind of late in the season to see a little bit more. But yeah, I don't have that much faith in them this year to get it done in the playoffs. It's relying on Jared Allen, James Harden, and how well they mesh. So we'll see.
I think it also depends on maybe the definition of success here. You're taking it all the way to that championship level.
Success for me is getting to the finals.
Then the Spurs, they got their 11th straight win after crushing the Clippers, and that was without Wemby in the lineup. But Castle, Harper, Fox, they combined for 61 points. And Park, do you think San Antonio, maybe their depth is getting overlooked here?
It is, but not by me, and that's why I had the San Antonio Spurs winning the NBA championship, because it's almost the old Warriors, strength in numbers. They don't care who had the success. They play agenda-free basketball, and yes, the conversation has been Wemby and Stephon Castle, but they forgot about old De'Aaron Fox over there.
Yeah, certainly there is a depth to this team that's going to be important in the postseason. How about the Buzz City Killers, knocking off the Suns and some history too, right? Cod Knipple breaking, there he is, Kemba Walker's franchise record for threes in a season. Perk, Rookie of the Year race, you think it's a wrap?
Oh, absolutely.
It's
Might
over.
as well call it a ram because it's a wrap. no, real talk. I'm just saying what he has done, not only the breaking records, but This young man has an old soul. When you talk about the culture over there, a rookie coming in, being in, starting his role, I got him voted in. That's another one I got penciled.
Might as well call it Saram because it's a rap.
Saram.
I'm going to be using that. How about the Pistons? Firing on all cylinders. No Cade Cunningham. And, oh, careful, Jarrett Jack. A little chest bump. You got to watch out for the lung there. But he's all right. Danny, though, the Pistons, the magic number for the 1 seed is down to 1. Are you starting to believe in this team?
The Nasty Boys, yes, I am. They're here to stay. They're playing very good. They got depth. Paul Reed, Dennis Jenkins, Javonte Green, like these guys are stepping up. They have a lot of depth that people are sleeping on. And I think when it comes down to the playoffs, they're going to show it.
How about Anthony Edwards, right? He missed the game in Detroit with an illness. So what does that mean? It means he officially is not going to be eligible for NBA awards this season because of that 65-game rule. He is on pace to break the franchise record for points per game for the 2nd straight season, and he's shooting career highs from the floor and from deep here. So it's a bummer he's not going to get that nod, but the numbers are incredible because despite having the best statistical season of his career, he joins the likes of Cade Cunningham, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Giannis Antetokounmpo, who are all going to be left off of the All-NBA teams out of consideration for the regular season awards. But just because the field is maybe looking a little bit smaller, that doesn't mean that we're not in the middle of an excellent MVP race, one for the ages, right? Because the top 5 favorites, this is according to odds makers, they are achieving things on the floor that would make them viable candidates to take home the postseason award in any year. And it just so happens they're all doing it at once. So, to review, let's go over it here. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, already the reigning MVP. He's been even better this postseason, right? He's on pace to become the first guard in NBA history to shoot at least 55% and average 30 points a game in a season. And then there's Victor Wembanyama, right? He's on pace to be the first player to average 20 points, 10 rebounds, 3 blocks, all while shooting 50% from the field since Shaquille O'Neal did it. And he won the MVP. He did it in 1999-2000. Wemby would also be the youngest MVP in NBA history. And then there's Nikola Jokic, because not only is he averaging a 25-point triple-double for the 2nd consecutive year, he's also on pace to be the first player in league history to lead the league in assists per game, rebounds per game in the same season. He could also become the 6th player to win 4 MVP awards. As for Luka Doncic, yes, we are waiting on his health, but he leads the league 35.5 points per game. He's also averaging 7.5 rebounds, just over, and 8.3 assists this season. In March, he became the 4th player in NBA history to tally 600 points, 100 rebounds, and 100 assists in a month. But we're not done, because Jaylen Brown, it's the best season we've seen in his 10-year career. Career highs in points per game, rebounds, assists per game. He's the first player in league history to set career highs in all 3 categories as a starter in their 10th season or later. So those are the cases, right? But what about the votes? Each year, it's not just Perk who writes in his ballot, but our friend, senior writer Tim Bontemps, he puts together a straw poll, right? Yep. He conducts this with 100 media members, and it is crazy accurate, right? Every final poll, it has correctly predicted the MVP since he began this in 2020. And so are you guys ready to see the results?
Yeah, why not?
Of Tim Bontemps' straw poll? All right, he asked 100 voters, that's not meant to be my game show voice, to rank their MVP candidates. It's not the order that's shocking. It's the numbers. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander got 88 of those first-place votes, those possible 100 first-place votes. And Victor Wembanyama got 8. Then you have Nikola Jokic at 3. Jaylen Brown got 1. Luka didn't actually get a first-place vote. Nonetheless, he finished above Jaylen Brown in total polling points. So, again, 88% of the first-place votes went here to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a landslide Perk in favor of Shai. Are you surprised? Is this all wrapped up now?
It is.
Saran?
Yeah, because I got a Sharpie. He's marked in for
but
my...
Are you surprised that it was 88 first-place votes?
No, I'm going
88 is a lot. Like, Luka couldn't get 1. Wemby couldn't have got like 10 or 12.
No, because
88 is a lot.
No, because it's also the story, right? Think about it. After a long season, coming back into this season, not having your number 2 for over 75% of the season, breaking Wilt Chamberlain record, doing all these historical things, and still have the best record in the NBA. The people see it.
I thought Luka could have just got 1 at least.
I was a little bit surprised by the numbers, not necessarily surprised by the order. And again, Luka Doncic now is teetering on the edge of a possible ineligibility.
You got to vote this year, or you still not?
You know me, Perk. Hey, we have some news into NBA Today now. For more, we bring in our senior insider, Shams Charania, who is back with us here, I'm being told.
Okay.
Shams, what you got?
Malika, I'm told Stephen Curry is expected to be cleared to make his return to the lineup on Sunday against the Houston Rockets. I had one source tell me all systems are a go for Steph Curry. He's missed over 2 months and 27 consecutive games with a persistent right knee issue. And the Warriors, team doctors, they've all supported anything Stephen Curry has wanted, even if he elected to shut it down. But he has been determined to return no matter how late in the season. This is a Warriors team that's 23-16 with him in the lineup and 13-25 without him. They feel if they get him back in the play-in tournament, they will have a legitimate chance to get to the playoffs.
Shams, thank you very much. Steph Curry